Hello everybody, status update. It's at some point Saturday evening. Jake and I have gotten the front end of the M3 totally taken down, which is great. We're leaving the oil cooler, obviously, because we're not going to drain the oil. We can leave that as one unit. We got the AC system drain, we got the coolant drain, intercoolers are all drained, they're all off. So the next steps really are going to be making sure that all the electrical pieces are unplugged. We're going to have to disconnect the fuel lines and be far more meticulous this time around than we were on the F31. And frankly, got lucky because it was our first time doing it. But we're going to get this engine out. It's going to be a stripped down M3 before you know it. All right, I'm running through my own checklist here to make sure I hit the button to raise the car, that the engine doesn't go with it. We've got all the subframe bolts out, check. We've loosened up both the strut towers, check. We've loosened up the steering column, but it's not free yet, so that's one thing that we know we're gonna have to finagle. So the idea is we'll lift the chassis up a little bit and then actually pull the engine forward so that we can get that spline piece to separate. Because if you just raise it up, then you might actually bend your steering column. Learned that last time. And then we're just going to need to check for all the various cables and wires that we've never unplugged before. This is the first S55 car that we've worked on. So going to take it really, really slow and make sure that we don't break this really nice engine. Yeah, so fingers crossed. Let's see if this thing will come out in the next hour or so. I'm just going to like hit the button and we'll see what happens. My shift linkage nuts. What? Where? Definitely should have undone that. And we're clear for sure. I think that we inadvertently saved our asses by sliding the thing forward. Not even kidding. Yeah. Otherwise we would have bent the backside of the shifter linkage, which could have been fixed, but. Whew, okay. Oh my God! Wow. I'm cooking. We are here. Who wants an S55?
Put it in my golf cart.
Look at what we did, man!
Wow, what a day.
Just the two of us.
No.
We stripped the important stuff out of an M3. Pretty great. Pretty great.
Hopefully we'll be capable of putting it back together.
Yeah, at some point. Oh, I'm tired.
Yeah, let's call it a day.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Good night. See ya.
Good night. Good morning. It's Sunday. We're back at the shop. Me and Jake, we're going to start putting pieces on the wagon, which I'm very fired up about. So Ryan from Dynasport's going to be showing up in a little bit and actually helping us cherry pick the engine and transmission off of this thing because we don't need that to be a part of the package that goes to the body shop when the wagon goes over there. So that's really objective one, is to get this thing rolling. We are test fitting, and by test fitting I mean we're jamming the rear subframe of the M3 into the wagon and very carefully lining everything up, making sure all the suspension pieces slot in exactly where they're supposed to and that the subframe bolts line up. But this feels pretty awesome for me to see, you know, the big brakes, the fancy diff, everything going into the wagon. Like, this is the first like true big nugget of M3-ish things going into the wagon. It's a big moment. I'm pretty ecstatic. So now let's make sure we don't break anything and get this thing fit up, bolted up, and then we can move on to cherry picking the engine and doing the same thing with the front subframes. One big question Jake and I were talking about at lunch is, if we put the M3 rear wheels and tires onto this car, would they just slam right into the quarter panels, to the wheel liners? My guess is yes.
Not out of it, almost.
Yeah, now we are.
Oh my goodness.
Looks like it's going up pretty level.
Yeah.
You're adding too much to it.
Okay, tail down.
Yep.
Nice and slow, I assume.
Yeah, we should be off of it at this point, so you can go ahead and drop that.
Okay, we're off.
Okay, and then we're gonna need to slide this whole subframe off.
The big goal for the weekend was to get this thing ready for the body shop, meaning they're going to weld on the M3 rear fenders, and we did that, and not without some hairy moments, like having to figure out how to use an engine hoist for the first time, and thankfully we had really good coaching on that. But we've got the engine out, but the M3 front subframe in on the wagon. We've got the M3 rear subframe, and the drive shaft is just kind of like dangling in there, hanging out. But this is ready to go. We can just, this thing rolls without hardly any effort.